So I'm happy to be here today with, of course, MP Lisa Hefner, Assam Rana, and JP Danko, who are strong leaders in the Hamilton community. So thank you for being here. And also with Mayor Andrea Horvat. So thank you, Andrea, for being here. We wish you well. So of course we're coming here at a time where we know the anxiety of workers is really high, and lots of people are asking themselves whether they will be able to keep their jobs and therefore their livelihoods. And I've met with many workers here. A lot of them are second or third generation steel workers at the Dofasco plant, ArcelorMittal Dofasco plant. And we want to make sure that they can continue to succeed in their jobs, and we will do everything to make sure that they do. So we know that the U.S. tariffs against steel and aluminum are completely unacceptable. They're completely illegal, and they're completely unjustifiable. So we will continue to fight back. These tariffs are a direct attack against steel workers, aluminum workers, and of course these industries, this plant, this community, and Canada. So based on that, we'll do three things. We will fight, we will protect, and we will build. We'll fight by having strong countermeasures and making sure that we're standing up against this U.S. administration. Second, what we will do is we will protect. We will protect our workers. We will protect our domestic market. We won't tolerate dumping of steel in Canada. And also, we will make sure that we protect our companies from unfair trade practices, period. This should not even be a question. This is what we'll do. And finally, we will build. And you saw the Prime Minister today with key ministers tabling a bill that is fundamental, that is about making sure that we create one Canadian economy, that we're able not only to get rid of internal trade barriers, so not 13 economies, but one economy, but more than that, that we will make sure that we build national major projects. We need to do this because it's our way to create jobs at home. It's our way to invest in ourselves. It's our way to build a stronger Canada. And we will also make sure that we invest in the defense sector by creating a Canada defense industrial sector and creating jobs in the steel aluminum sector through these investments. So I'm looking forward to answering all your questions, but let me speak in my mother tongue, just 2 seconds. Donc en français, bien entendu, ça me fait plaisir d'être ici. J'ai voulu venir à Hamilton, à l'usine de Dofasco rapidement. Pourquoi? Parce qu'on sait que présentement, il y a une crise. Pardon. Sorry. Sorry. So I wanted to make sure that we could be here today. All the pardon, je reparle en français. Sorry about that. It's the sneezing. So, je voulais m'assurer d'être avec les députés ici pour être capable de lancer un message très clair que les tarifs qui ont été imposés par la Maison-Blanche sont complètement inacceptables, complètement injustifiés et illégaux. Alors, nous allons faire trois choses. Nous allons nous battre, nous allons nous protéger et nous allons bâtir. Et pour nous battre, nous allons continuer à imposer des contre-mesures, des contre-tarifs très, très forts contre les Américains. Nous allons aussi nous protéger en investissant dans notre marché local, notre marché domestique. On ne va pas accepter des manœuvres, des méthodes qui sont contraires au commerce international. On ne va pas accepter non plus du dumping d'acier ou d'aluminium de l'étranger chez nous. Et finalement, on va bâtir. Le Premier ministre aujourd'hui a annoncé un projet de loi très important, un projet de loi qui fait en sorte d'éliminer les obstacles, les obstacles au commerce interne au pays, mais également il a annoncé que nous allions soutenir la construction de grands projets nationaux qui vont être nécessaires pour protéger le secteur manufacturier, protéger les jobs au Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, à Bécancour, mais aussi ici où est-ce que je suis présentement dans le sud de l'Ontario. So looking forward to answering your questions.
Minister, my name is Al Sweeney. I'm with the
Hi.
local TV station.
Pleasure. Yes, hi.
Sorry, my glasses are tight.
I understand. So I'm sneezing. It's your glasses. We all have issues.
You outlined a long-term plan
Yeah.
to help the steel industry
Yep.
in this tariff crisis.
Yeah.
What about the short term?
Yeah.
What can you do for people in Hamilton in the steel industry if this continues and the steel industry starts to slow down a bit?
Yeah. I think your question is a very good one. So we have a plan for short, medium, and long term. Short term, I was with all the steel CEOs yesterday, including Ron Bedard, who was there, with the Steel Association. We're looking at solutions, and I hope we can announce them very soon to make sure we can provide liquidities to the companies that need them. So that will help protect the jobs, because clearly that's what we want to do. The other thing also we're looking at is how can we make sure that there's no foreign steel coming into Canada. So we'll have more to say very quickly on these two issues. That's the way to protect the market and protect the jobs short term. Medium term, what we're looking at also, and longer term, is how can we make sure that we produce the steel that is required for these major projects? How can we make sure also that we have the steel that is required for the defense industry? So we're really looking at solutions to help the companies to be able to develop new lines of business. And so that will create jobs for, yes, this generation, but potentially for other generations. So we're trying to use this crisis as an opportunity to really build Canada strong. And that was the entire vision of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. And I've been working on this with, of course, the MPs here, but also with Minister Leblanc and Minister Champagne, because fundamentally it's all hands on deck.
Okay. Just a supplementary. There's a great sense of urgency in the country that something has to be done about this soon.
Absolutely.
The Steel Producers Association saying today it expects something early next week. Mm-hmm. When could we expect a decision on whether to impose retaliatory tariffs or handle it somewhere else?
So we're doing two things at this time. What we're doing is, first, we are making sure that we fight against these tariffs. That's why also I'm here. But in every war, and this is a trade war, there's always a diplomatic table. And there's always negotiations happening meanwhile. And that's also what's going on. And the Prime Minister is doing his own job. And we won't, of course, negotiate in public. We'll let him do his work. But meanwhile, what we're looking at is we need to make sure that we buy Canadian steel. We need to make sure that we buy Canadian aluminum. And that's why the legislation that was tabled today to fast-track major projects is important, because to your point, there is urgency and we need to make sure that we act very speedily.
Minister Brian Weatherhead with CTV.
Yeah.
Today the U.S. ambassador said that he thinks the tariffs are here to stay, but we've seen tariffs go back and forth, up and down. Can we take those comments seriously? What's your reaction to those comments?
Listen, I think Canadians have been glued to their screens looking at what's going on with the U.S. for the last months, and we had an entire election where we talked about it. I won't speculate on what's going on in the White House and what is on the president's mind. We're focused on ourselves, and that's why we're here. We're here to make sure that we can fight against these tariffs, that we protect our workers, and we'll build. And every time you ask me what's the plan, well, I'm giving you the plan. Fight, protect, build.
Just a supplementary, are there reciprocal tariffs in the making?
So we already have tariffs, important, but everything is on the table, because this is a massive direct attack against our steel workers and our aluminum workers.
When you say buy Canadian steel,
yeah.
What percentage do you anticipate will come from Hamilton specifically, or how important is Hamilton to that plan? Because steel's made other places in the country.
Yeah, but Hamilton, is the center of steel making. The question is not, how can we make sure that, how can I say? The question is, how can we make sure to protect the jobs across the country? There is capacity and a plant in Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma. The heart of steel land is here. And meanwhile, I come from a province where it's all about aluminum. we need to work together. Right now, it's the steel and aluminum workers that are targeted. And so we're trying to find ways to make sure we put maximum pressure on the U.S., while, of course, knowing that we can negotiate, and that's our strategy.
And I'm Samantha from CBC.
Yeah.
And as my follow-up, what are you hearing from steel companies and workers about the direct impacts of the 50% tariffs?
People are anxious. People need to know that, of course, their government is there for them. But, these can't be only empty promises. We're in action mode. We know that if we don't act quickly, people's livelihoods will be at stake. This is something the Prime Minister, the Cabinet, myself, we take, the entire team take extremely seriously. We know urgency is the matter. We know companies are taking decisions as we speak. And so we as I said, this is all hands on deck, and that's why we came up with a legislation 1 month after being sworn in. And it's an important bill, and we need to make sure that all parties support the bill.
Hi, Matthew from the Hamilton
Yeah.
Spectator.
Yeah.
Time. The federal government has invested in Dofasco projects before,
Yeah.
including a green steel project
Yeah.
that everyone's very excited about.
Yeah.
Is that, given the current environment, is that still a priority for the
Absolutely,
federal government?
it is. And it is under my watch as Minister of Industry to make sure that that's the case. And we'll work with ArcelorMittal Dofasco to make sure that that happens. Because we think that it's an important project. We think it gives the plant a competitive edge. And that's why we think it's just the right direction. So we're continuing that right direction. I think, what you need to understand is, we're in a trade war. I used to be on the diplomatic front. Now I'm on the economic front of the trade war. I used to deal with the causes. Now much more the consequences and the solutions. And so the Prime Minister's vision is we need to make sure that we protect our people. So right now in this trade war, the front lines are steel, aluminum, auto. We're on the front lines of this trade war today. And second is, how can we continue to grow the economy? How can we create jobs? So that's why the project you're talking about the new electric furnace is fundamental, because it's a way also to continue to invest in the future. And we need to do both at the same time.
Is there something more that the government can do to help that project, which appears to be delayed compared to what they had initially hoped?
I think, we've had constructive conversations. We're even talking about more projects that would create more jobs. So I think we have to be ambitious.